Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Come on, guys. We got some great tips. How many people are pitching here? Show of hands. See a couple of people. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about how to deliver a powerful presentation so that you can learn how to have an impactful speech to win over investors, business partners, and clients. 9 seconds. That is less than the attention span of a goldfish. But what if I told you that in order to make an impression, you just had that short amount of time to hook an investor or get a business partner? Now, in the 1980s, there were about 20 minutes that people had as attention span back then. But now, with our smartphones and our gadgets and all of the other distractions, it's whittled down to about 9 seconds. And to compound that, people usually only remember the beginning and the end of a presentation. Now, that does not give you permission to zone out in the middle of my talk. Instead, you should pay attention if you really want to be able to stand out from the crowd. So, I have been on both sides of the funding table. I have most often been on the side that is tasked with looking at a few, shall I say, entrepreneurs that are really brimming with excitement. But I can tell you that that 9-second rule, it's real. Because after a while, they start stringing together. And so you dread asking the question, like, what's your big idea? Because inevitably, you'll have a couple of entrepreneurs that come up and they're really nervous, and they start babbling on for about 10 to 15 minutes to the point where you forget what the question was that you even asked them. So how do you stand out from the crowd? Well, you have to come to this realization, this cold, harsh truth, that nobody cares. Nobody cares about your business. They don't care about your product. They don't care about your service. They don't care about your beautiful packaging or your great delivery system. They don't care about your features. They don't even care about all of the time that you spent building this community, telling them how you're going to have so many people following them. Not your potential investors and not your potential customers. People care about themselves. And they care about the problems that you can help them solve, or whatever desire it is that they want. Now, back many, many years ago, over 25 years ago, when I first wanted to raise funding for my first project in Hong Kong, it was a restaurant, I was raising around $6 million. And I'd already had a business, and I had about 40, actually the number was exactly 42 people, who told me that when you get ready to open, we're there. We're going to invest. Well, I called them, and they all said no. So, being a bit discouraged, one of my friends said, well, there's this guy. I think you should talk to him. He can give you a lot of really great advice, and he may be a potential investor. So I called the guy up. I was really surprised. He was like one of the top guys at a multinational company here, and he said, come on down. So I went down to his office and had a chat with him about 90 minutes. He was really nice. He seemed really interested. At the end of the 90 minutes, he said no. But I was really so thrilled that he had given me so much of his time, and he had given me a lot of great advice, so that I was, I was really happy. And so I thought, let me say thank you to this guy. So I'm going to tell you about my $3 million pie. I sent him a pie. I went home, I baked a pie. I wrote a thank you note, and I sent it over to him. And about 2 days later, I got a call from him, and he said, my wife told me that if I don't invest in your restaurant, she's going to kill me. Because if this is indicative of your customer service and you got it to me warm, I've got to give you money. So that guy invested, and he actually brought in half of my investors to the tune of almost $3 million. That's not a bad deal for a pie, right? So, flash forward maybe about 15 years. I'd had some ups and downs in business, and I was pitching another similar concept. So I was in a pitching competition, actually, and I think I was number 12 on the roster. Oh. Okay, and so I was about number 12 on the roster. And I knew that these guys were going to have a really short attention span. We had a really short time in order to pitch. And it was about 6:30 it started. I think I was going on. It was about 9:30, so I remembered my pie. And the first thing I did when I walked into that room was I gave everybody a slice of pie. I turned around, I walked slowly to the front of the room because I wanted them to start smacking and eating and enjoying it. And then when I got to the front of the room, I said to them, now that I have your attention, that's about the 10th best tasting thing on my menu. So if you want to have a lot better food and you want to learn how you can make some money doing it, then I'm ready to tell you. So that was how I got them hooked. Now, it's really important when you are pitching for something that you're selling the problem that you solve. You're selling the problem and not the product. And a lot of entrepreneurs forget when they're pitching or they're giving a presentation two very important things that their audience wants to know. What's in it for me and why now? And if you don't believe me, for any of you that are pitching, I invite you to open up your pitch decks, okay? Open up your pitch decks and see how many slides it takes you to get to talking about the problem you're addressing, the pains and costs associated with the current approaches, and the potential value of solving it. Chances are it's probably a few more than it needs to be. And that's because, you know, as entrepreneurs, you've got a baby that you've built, you're in love with it, you want to show it off to the world. And so you wind up talking more about the product than you probably should. And look, I get it. As entrepreneurs, we're all about the big ideas. But what we forget and the problem that we face is that there's always somebody around the corner with a bigger idea. But you don't have to have the biggest idea in order to win. What you do need is the ability to tell a good story. Now, stories help us really address abstract ideas and take them into real-life situations. And when you've got a really great story that addresses how you solve the problem, it's much easier for you to connect with people. So when you're doing your pitch, what I want to let you know is that you have a really short time in order to hook people. And so I want to give you a 5-step framework that you can use when you are doing your pitches. So first, you want to start with a real-life story about how you discovered the problem that you're solving. Next, you want to uncover and explain the problem in detail in a way that makes it a problem worth solving for whoever it is that you're talking to, for your audience. Then you want to share your solution. I see a lot of people taking pictures. How many of you would like me to share these slides at the end with you all? Hands up. Okay, don't take pictures, just listen. I'll give you the slides. Okay, then you want to explain that it's not for everyone, and you want to discuss your target market. And then you want to close with the same story you started with, but in a new world where your solution solves the problem. The most important thing is that you have to get the hook early on so that you can engage your audience and not talk so much about your product. Instead, you want to give them a clear idea of what the problem is that you're solving, the quantitative impacts, and the upside opportunities. And you also want to make sure that you establish the urgency for your customer base. Now, the other thing that I like to tell people when they're pitching is to not use acronyms, stay away from confusing words, and try to stay away from quote-unquote trendy buzzwords. So I'm going to show you how this works. You want to start with your idea in 3 sentences. State the problem that you solve in 1 sentence, explain your solution in the next sentence, And then finally, identify the specific target market in one sentence. Next, you want to condense that down. Get your idea in one sentence. Combine the problem you solve, your solution, and your target market into that one sentence. And when you get really, really, really good at this, you can get your idea into 3 words. LinkedIn, Facebook for business. Flickr, YouTube is Flickr for video. And Slack is where work happens. If you get to the stage where you can explain what you do in 3 words, you've got a killer presentation. This is just a quote that I like by Seth Godin. Don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. Now, don't forget to touch on a few other essentials, like how much money do you make currently if you're already in business, how much money you're going to be making, what you're asking for in terms of funding and equity, and how your product differs from your competitors. So, with that being said, I know that if it's your first time getting in front of, we've all seen the horror stories on Shark Tank, right? So, if you're getting in front of a crowd or to pitch for the first time, it can be a little bit scary. It can also be a little bit disheartening when you start getting no's. Let me tell you, the 42 no's were not easy to take. But remember that no just means next opportunity. It may be a different idea for you, or it may be a different investor for you. It took me over 42 people. So, the other thing I want to say to you guys is if you do have a situation where you've just your spirit is broken. I know we're entrepreneurs. We go through ups and downs. It's like we're 2 different people sometimes. But if you do leave and you are disheartened, I want you to know that there's always going to be somebody who can't see the worth of your product, your business, or who can't see your worth. But don't let that be you. And so with that, I am going to gift you guys with the slides. I hope this has been very informative and that you're able to use this. If you'd like to get a copy of these slides, you can go and download them here. Now you can take a picture. Thank you.